Welcome to Social Media Fridays, episode 46. Each week we gather here to wind down and talk about what happened this week in the world of social media. With us today we have Edwin Jonk. Edwin is CEO of IdestHost in the Netherlands. You can find Edwin at idesthost.nl. And Masataki Wasa is webmaster of wasaweb.net. He's also a Google top contributor in the AdSense and also the Google Plus Help community. You can find Masataki at wasaweb, wasaweb.net. Each week we post items of interest in the Social Media Fridays community, and then we gather to talk about them. This first item that was posted, it's not really social media, but we tossed up about whether we should talk about it or not, and obviously we decided yes, it's here. This was about Amazon taking out its first suit over fake product reviews. Reviews have become a social phenomenon, if you like. It's sometimes used as a weapon, sometimes used commercially, but fraudulent reviews don't help any of us, and I think it's great to see Amazon taking this action, and they're suing this person who they feel was selling good reviews. Comments, guys?
There must be quite a lot of those going on. And if you are a merchant, if you're a seller, it makes sense. It's probably cheaper to ask someone to write you a fake positive review than going on an advertising campaign. So I think there's a lot of it going on. Some of them may be genuine reviews, but people might have been given samples in return, for example. So there are lots of what would be the right word? Lots of grey areas in reviews.
Yeah, true. True. Can also be used as a form of harassment. I remember when Al Rimich was in a sort of an altercation with David Amerland and Mark Trepagan over the interpretation of part of David's book, Google Semantic Search. He wrote on Amazon an absolutely filthy review, which I got quite upset about, because that's where people conduct their business, like for an author anyway. An author conducts their business on the review section of Amazon. And to jump in and attack somebody via the review system, I think it's just a low act.
Sorry, I was kicked out of the Hangout.
As you should be, Mr. Taki, as you should be.
I managed to catch the last bit you were saying about authors writing reviews about, on their own books and denigrating the rivals. There was quite a while ago, there was a bit of a scandal in British academia in history when someone did that and was caught, and it appeared in newspaper. So it's been going on, but the point I was trying to make, I don't know when I was cut off, is that if you are someone with a product to sell or service to sell, it's probably cheaper to ask someone with a substantial amount of reviews to write a fake review for you than spending money on advertising campaign. Obviously, so there are some contradictions. If there is a site that encourages people to write reviews and then rewards people for being prolific reviewer, which is the case in many of these platforms, and then the reviewer has quite a lot of clout because that reviewer has written so many reviews and then been upvoted by so many times by other users, etc. Then if you have a product, you may be tempted to say, well, why don't we offer this person a free sample or some other incentive so that he or she can write us a good review? The effect of that might be far better than spending, I don't know how much, on a, let's say, PPC campaign. People should be declaring if they receive samples. You know, that has been the case for quite some time. It's been not really enforced, but you know, that's the law, strike regulation for bloggers who receive samples in return for the post, for example, and they should declare that. And people should be declaring such interests if they are reviewing and if they had received the product for free, for example, or at discount. So, yeah, I think this issue is going to be more and more prominent because there are more reviews, and I think reviews are seen as a valuable indicator for many people. People look at reviews before making a decision, and obviously the platform itself, so Amazon in this case, but all others want to have a thriving review community because that brings in people. So yeah, it's a tip of the iceberg, and there are going to be more of these, I think.
I noticed, was it Tim Capper that posted this week on Google now allowing site owners to respond, to fraudulent reviews and get a hearing. Is that how it works?
I think you can, if you own a local Google Plus page or business page, because those Google Plus pages can be reviewed, and if you find a review that is what would be the right word? Not wrong, but sort of outside the policies and guidelines of the Google Plus reviews, then you can seek action from Google as the business owner. It used to be the case that you can always report a review for being inappropriate, but that flag was as a general user, I think. So you could sort of flag review for being inappropriate, but that was as a user, you couldn't do it as the business owner, for example. That's been changed. Also, that's how I understand it. I don't have a local listing, so I really can't say. But that's how I understand the change.
Yeah. Right. Have we covered this one? Should we move on?
Well, the suit doesn't really go against the reviews. Basically, they The suit allegates trade violations, unfair competition, and deceptive acts. So that's basically how they try to remove these review bots, or how you call them.
Right, fair enough.
Yeah, so it's basically the negative or the positive reviews are basically deceptive acts, right? That's how they go to court.
We should watch this to see how it turns out. No doubt there'll be a report on that soon. All right, this is an interesting one. Rumours of Google buying out Twitter. And Masataki said, I cannot see the point of Google buying Twitter at an exorbitant price. What do you think? Edwin Yonk responded and said, not at the moment. The price is an interesting question. That said, paying a high price isn't really an argument. Namely, it depends on synergy, which is true. I mean, 38 billion today, if the price rises to 76 billion tomorrow, 38 billion will be cheap.
Yeah, but if you buy 38 billion, who's going to buy it at 76 billion?
Well, Google has that amount of money in ill-gotten gains in the money that they've got stored overseas from their tax cheating.
Yeah, they can buy it. I mean, okay, let's say the price is not an issue. I still don't see the point of Google buying Twitter.
Well, I think Google. I mean, Twitter is an advertising platform, and Google's in the advertising business. So I think it's a natural thing, a logical thing for Google to do. Keep in mind too that the profiles on Twitter, there'd be a lot of demographic data that Google would love to have to make it even easier to target ads to people. So yeah, I see that, but I mean the problem that I see is that eventually Google's going to consume everything, and also with net neutrality not being highly regarded or worthy of protection. At some point, at the point that Google does either outcompete using their advantage, or buys by taking over, Google. Once Google has absorbed it, I mean, Google is just an arm of Goldman Sachs anyway. Half of their employers, the management layer, are ex-Goldman Sachs alumni. Well, half. I said half. I can't justify it. I can't prove it. But the thing is that what we'll be left with is a barren and soulless wilderness, because Google is great at software, but not really good at people. And so is Google a benign group of people? I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys. What's your comment on it?
Well, those co-founders from Twitter, they there was a book about how they founded Twitter. There were some weird things in that. I mean, it's a little bit of a culture in the tech industry. But I'm wondering, are there any poison pills for Twitter? Because even if Google wants to buy Twitter, Twitter doesn't have to sell out. right?
They
No,
probably don't feel that they need to structure the business because their price is so high, as Masataki said. Who's got the checkbook big enough to buy them?
the whole rumor started because Twitter hired, wasn't it Goldman Sachs actually, to fend off potential hostile takeover, as an advisor. So that sort of sparked the rumor mill. Jim, you're absolutely right about Twitter being a good platform in terms of advertisements, and also the accounts, the personal data. So yeah, I can see that, but in a sense, how would Twitter fit in within Google? That's the sort of thing that I don't really quite get, because they have the search agreement now, don't they? So that Twitter.
Yeah, they used to have what they called the fire hose, and parts of that are now back in place, apparently.
So I think so long as that arrangement is there, I'm not 100% sure how much more Google would gain.
Yeah, well, it seems to me that there'd be a lot of gains in this for Google. I mean, what they pay for it really doesn't matter. But yeah, I see only positives for Google in buying it. The only thing I object to is Google owning everything. The creativity would be stifled. And basically, the way we're heading, we'll end up with a Google Internet that isn't a level playing field. We'll have the Badlands that get through various ISPs where they can. And I think you'll find me in the Badlands. That's if I live long enough.
Yeah. That's a good point, though. You do want what would be like a polarity in terms of platforms, and I think Twitter is a valuable player in that landscape, and if that goes, it's a loss, I think. And it's always good to have competition. It's always good to have competing platforms, competing ideas. So in terms of the overall internet landscape, yeah, I don't think it's a desirable thing for Google to buy Twitter. I think that I totally agree with that point of view.
Well, on the other hand, on the social media side, Facebook is pretty much the only big social platform. So if Twitter would be bought by Google, maybe Google can throw more money at it and make it bigger. I don't see Twitter, by the way, going integrated into Google services. I think they would just leave Twitter alone, maybe adding the Twitter accounts to the Google accounts. But I don't think they're going to. I don't see the point of having Twitter emerge into Google Plus or something like that.
Oh, no.
It's too good of a product, so I would leave that just like they did with YouTube. They leave the YouTube
Yeah, that
as
would be
is.
the
And,
I think that would be the
sure, what were you saying, Mastaki?
Yeah, it's agreeing that that would be the model. I think if Google were to buy Twitter, then Twitter will remain a standalone product.
Yeah. It's basically what Facebook is doing also with all those apps they buy.
Yeah.
How many apps does Facebook have? I think 20 or something.
Yeah. No, you two are converting me now. I think I do see the sort of point from Google's perspective now about purchasing Twitter. While I agree with Jim's sort of point that it would be a bad thing for the landscape, the sort of the broader landscape of things.
Well, I don't have 34 billion on my bank to buy Twitter. Otherwise, I would help out you.
Yeah, let's go buy Twitter.
Just one moment. I just have to step out for a moment. Won't be a second, guys.
Shall we go to the next post then? Or?
Oh, we could still go on about Twitter. Dunno. I still didn't really get Twitter that
No, me
well,
neither.
to be honest. Yeah. There's only so much you can say in 140 characters.
Indeed.
Well, have we given this topic it's 140 characters worth?
Yeah, I think we had about 5 tweets on it now. One after another.
Okay, excuse me. This was an interesting one that you posted, Masataki. Is it worthwhile spending campaign budget on social media? You said that there's an election campaign in the UK at the moment. Excuse me. I don't know why I just don't die and get it over with. You said, can social media influence voters? Is it worthwhile spending campaign budget on social media? I think so. What do you think, Edwin?
I think so too. I think for elections it's even more important. Right? You don't really care if they go to your website, but what you care about is that you get the message across. So if that works on social media, it works on social media. I think it's even more powerful than having your own website.
I think what's interesting is that if you like the traditional news media, so newspapers, for example, broadcasters, pick up on trends on social media. So in the sense that what happens on social media is amplified by newspapers and so forth, and that gets feed into that feeds into social media again. So there's kind of cycle going on. But I wonder how much it would influence voters directly. So if someone says, "Oh, I'm going to vote for this party," and if there were an app or extension that says, out of so many friends you have on social media, X number of people are going to vote this party. Y number of people are going to vote for this another party. Do you think that, it's a hypothetical case, but do you think that would influence people, saying, seeing how your friends vote?
Oh yes, yes, yes. And it can also be used um, to make your campaign more effective, right? If you know in a certain area that you're losing or there's not much talk about you on the social platforms, you can invest more campaign money in that specific area, and thereby targeting maybe uh, spending your campaign money better.
I think we're seeing it here in Australia, where we have an extremely right-wing Liberal Party of Australia government now. And hello, Tim Capper. We're still live, by the way, mate.
Oh, bloody hell, I'm off.
Yeah, but in Australia, people are not getting away. Government is not getting away with telling lies anymore because social media is there to investigate and verify and cross-check, and spread the notice of the deception. And that's reflected in the polls. They're just not getting away with it. We're talking about the quote was, "The one who spends wisely on social media will win the general election in the UK." Tim, and you being a resident of the UK, although you know, are the KGB allowed to vote there?
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. And just for the record, there's never been, even since the Cold War was over, there's never been more foreign operatives operating out of London. You know, fact, true.
So that bloke just got the polonium out of the sugar bowl, did he?
Yes, mate.
All right. So, are you seeing any evidence of political parties spending on social media?
Well, according to the
no, not for me.
According to the article, the Tories are spending how many? 10,000 a month or something like that?
No, 100,000 a month.
100,000. Yeah, I was going to say 100,000.
Just on Facebook.
Yeah.
Is that in pounds or real money?
That's in pounds.
Well, slightly more than the euro. Let's put it that way.
£100,000 a month. How long has the election campaign been going? Are they going to be spending £500,000 on this?
Well, it officially started about a week ago or so. But unofficially, it's been going on for quite a while now. So it'd be interesting to see how that changes over the next few weeks. So the actual date of the election is 7th of May. So there are a few more weeks to go.
Okay.
And I think some parties are better at utilizing social media. And in the UK, Twitter is very big. And I think of all the parties, I think the one that has managed to make the most, from where I can see, has been the SNP. They had a pretty decent organization for the referendum on Scottish independence, and they've carried through that. And on Twitter, I think they're very, very good. And it's not just it's not paid necessarily. It is actually committed supporters. And I think that's where things are more important on social media, that you get committed supporters who do the campaigning for you for free, as it were, because they believe in the cause or they believe in the party's policies. And that's far more genuine, and that's probably far more convincing than someone being paid to push out content or putting adverts on the side of the of Facebook wall or something like that. So I think what is interesting in that respect is that not necessarily the ads or the amount of money that political parties may throw at social media platforms, but if they can connect with the supporters that exist on the social media platforms, and if they can come up with a coherent message, so not necessarily directing people, but trying to sort of find a medium.
See, I personally wouldn't spend it on ads. I wouldn't spend that money on ads. I would take that $100,000 and hire myself, $100,000 a month, and I'd hire myself, 50, obviously social media savvy supporters. Okay. Obviously, whichever political party, they would have all the manifesto and you know what I mean. So I'm talking like quite savvy people, and then just release them into the wild.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Tim. And by the way, I wasn't laughing at you.
Yeah.
Did you notice
I saw the comment,
Mr. comment in the chat?
Yeah, classic. Right on. Brilliant.
Well, on Facebook, I would disagree a little bit here, because the reach from a Twitter page is just so low that basically you have to buy ads or boost your posts.
No. I don't mean posting, like creating pages. I'm talking about send them into the wild, as in they will then go literally find comments, find people, find forums, find social media posts where someone's posted something. I'm talking spend the entire day, day in, day out, finding posts, commenting, friending, liking, discussing the pros and cons. So basically putting 50 people on the social media campaign trail, as in comments on blogs, comments on people's pages, comments on, I'm talking just get out there and just talk wherever possible. I'm not talking about creating a page and then promoting it and creating a post and then promoting it. I'm talking about actually get out there and find every single post, tweet, Google Plus comment, political comments, forums, newspapers, you name it. Just get out there and comment on it. So you would need, obviously, like I said, political savvy people who understand the manifesto and what that party, is going for, and blah, 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 and just get them out there. I reckon, it could do, look, put it this way, if it works for Russia, mate, and they can swing entire elections by having, basically people employed day in and day out to push on every social media platform, blogging platform, comment forum, anything. If it works for them to totally, crush the opposition, I mean, Jesus, rather than getting an ad and paying on ads, get the people out there, get them online, get them talking. Obviously, they paid, but that's the way I would do it. I would there'd
dominate. I'm guessing that there'd be a lot of bearded blokes with avatars that are blonde with big boobs.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's just find every conversation about politics and get someone in there talking. Get your voice across. So basically it's like it's paid trolling, but obviously specific trolling. And I'm talking like on a big $100,000 could buy you Do you know what I mean? It could get you onto every single political conversation that's ever taken place, in the country.
The interesting thing
And
is,
that's how you get your point across.
yeah, I mean, you may not even have to pay. You just have to find people,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
political
sure.
commitment, and troll on behalf of you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've got the you would need the paid core out there, day in, day out. 10 hours a day, Monday to Friday for those 6 months. You would need those for sure. But then you've got your party supporters, and they would potentially contribute a couple of hours for free a week, and there might be a couple of million of them out there. So once you get that ball going, and then start informing them, advising them, and hey, obviously these are these guys, you could really ramp it up exponentially.
Yeah, and you can sort of gamify it. Send them
Big
packages of how you do things, how you approach things. So they have a sort of standardized guidebook or something like that on how to approach things. They could use common hashtags and allow the Party Central really to track how many times they've posted and how many times they've commented, etc., and reward them. Sort of give them. Obviously, the risk with using volunteers is that they can go off message and then bring your party into disrepute, and that's the risk that parties may have to take.
Yeah. Or you could just take the total crazy approach that just get your you need your militant activists every now and again. Yeah, but I reckon they're just doing it wrong, Well, look, you can't say. I mean, everybody's got their kind of idea, but that's the way I would do. I would just troll the hell out of every single political debate, and even if it was between, let's say, a conversation was going on between SNP and the Green Party, I would get in there, get my foot in. Do you know what I mean? You just get your foot in there, regardless of the conversation, because that's what people read. Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky, but I would definitely, allocate a portion of the budget to professional trolls.
Okay.
Did you?
Any other item? You go ahead.
Did you saw that come in the article? Let me quote it. Labour uses a campaign. Are you registered to vote? Did you saw that campaign from them or not?
I'm not on Facebook really, so and I don't know.
No, I haven't seen it. If it's on Facebook, I haven't seen it. Sorry, I don't go on there.
Because if they, the article claims that with that they created a huge database. That's smart.
Yeah, I mean it's to a certain extent that must be inspired by what was the Get Out to Vote campaign by the Democrats in the US in the last presidential election. I think they had a huge effort online and offline. I'm not so sure whether there's anything similar to that, but yeah.
I don't know really about the UK, but last month we had elections here in the Netherlands, and basically the elections were won by the parties that could motivate their voters. So if Labour is having issues about people going to going to vote, it makes sense for them to campaign for it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think we discussed it now.
Okay, all right. Well, look, we still have eyes watching us. I'd like to thank you for your interest in what we do. Your participation makes what we do worthwhile, and for that we thank you most sincerely. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again. In the meantime, I'll put into the Social Media Fridays community a link to come and join us. We'd love to have you chat with us. As I said, we'll be back same time next week.